Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Fancy restaurants love to flex their money and power, but in this story, a small laundry business reminded one of them who really had the leverage. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. You want your $20K dining room ready? Pay the $1,700 you owe first. I, 44-year-old male at the time, am a small business owner. I have a pickup and delivery laundry service in a big city. My bread and butter is commercial business, small salons, bars, restaurants. People like us because we don't require a lengthy contract. It's a sort of call us if you want to situation, and if you don't like us, don't call. It works both ways. We were pretty new to the business at the time, and we were super excited to get a Michelin 2-star restaurant's tablecloths and napkins. We didn't like the jerk finance guy, Mark, who always tried to negotiate us down, but we got along great with Amy. She was the logistics/fixer/genius problem solver for the restaurant. Any high-end business should have someone like her on staff. We jumped through hoops like we'd never jumped through hoops before, even rented more space to handle their business. At $3,000 a month, they were our biggest customer. Thing is, Mark already negotiated an amazing deal with us from the start, but he was in the nasty habit of trying to negotiate after the fact. Every time they owed us money, he would try to get us to take less. We told A this was not okay over and over again. Mark was an owner, but he was just a money guy. The head chef and other owners actually cared about the business. Well, the back and forth went on for months. They always insisted on a discount. We never gave in because we were already in deep discount territory with these people. And come on, at $400 a plate, you can afford $2 per tablecloth or whatever we charge them. Mark eventually started really putting the screws to us and was withholding about $1,700, money we really needed, while he tried to squeeze us to accept less. I think he thought we were probably living on the edge like most small business owners, but we were really just tired, sick and tired more than anything, and we checked our balance of F's and there were none left to give. I came up with a plan and got my partner to agree. We put the plan in motion. We waited until the weekend came. We had almost all of these people's laundry. I think you can see where this is going. I called Amy and I told her that Mark could stuff it. We have all your laundry. It's all pressed and ready. It's Monday. You're planning to open again on Tuesday. When you pay us in full for this order and everything that you owe us for previous orders in cash, you'll get your laundry back. Not before. I also let her know that once we got paid, our business relationship would be over. This was disastrous for us financially, but we weren't going to starve to death. She understood, and she was actually on our side. She loved our service. She let all the owners know that we were not messing around. She called us back, and we agreed on a time. I went to the restaurant, left my partner and the laundry in the van. I dealt with all sorts of criminals and scammers in the neighborhoods where we delivered. I knew how to treat deadbeats. Mark wasn't there. The chef, other owner, was there, and only because it was him and not Mark did I accept a business check instead of cash. It cashed, no problem. I called my partner to bring in the laundry. A called me later and proposed that we keep working with them and we would never have to speak to Mark again. Honestly, it was such a weight off my shoulders to no longer deal with them, I said no way. Don't try to stiff a small business that stands between you and setting tables for $20,000 worth of seatings in your fancy restaurant when you have no plan B. I have no regrets. This is why so many small businesses end up demanding cash on delivery or 50% deposit. Would have been funny to have a meal in the dining room and then negotiate the price loudly while repeatedly mentioning that this is how Mark does business. And our second story. Got accused of poisoning coworkers for cleaning the office kitchen. A little background. I work at a large company in the office, which employs a lot of older people who are extremely stubborn to change and think that everything has to be done by someone else. There's a kitchen that all of the people in our department use. A common coffee machine, an electric kettle, etc. The upper management have been making a schedule for when each of us have to clean the kitchen. Of course, since a lot of aforementioned people just decide that it's not a part of their job, they're not doing it, and since the upper management doesn't enforce this, it gets quite bad, fast, no common decency. I hate to use the coffee machine and the electric kettle for my tea when it's super dirty. Even the handles get sticky, which is extremely disgusting. so I take it upon myself to clean all of it. From time to time, since I arrive early every day. The electric kettle was full of flakes of lime scale, so I brought a descaler from home. I hate to see flakes floating in my tea. I've done this for a while now, using it every so often. I like to use it when it's clean. Some of the older folks here saw me using the descaler and told the upper management that I'm bringing in an unknown chemical solution and using it on the food they use. "He's trying to kill the older generation," is a direct quote from what they told my boss. All the upper management called me in immediately for me to explain myself and called office security. I told them that I'm just tidy. I hate dirty appliances, showed them the descaler, and all was good. From this point on, I'm no longer cleaning anything until it's my week according to the schedule. Now the older people are berating me that I'm not cleaning it anymore, stating that the kitchen is filthy and I'm to blame. They once again complained about me to the upper management that the chemicals I used caused flakes to appear in their drinks. Cleaning was never part of my job description. I sent out the management-made schedule to the entire department, and every time someone complains, I forward it once again, including a CC to my superiors, mentioning by name who has made a request and when was the last time they cleaned it themselves, as written in the company guidelines. The complainers got called in for causing office drama, which the management hates. They all got disciplinary warnings. They hate me, and I have to bring coffee from home now. Not going to use the filthy kitchen ever again. Still feels like it was worth it. There was an important job to be done, and everyone was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. And our next story. He thought I'd help him because I knew more tech. Instead, he got banned. I've seen many posts from this Reddit, never thought I would be a part of one. I recently had to buy a new computer chair, so I went to a store a little ways away to purchase one. While browsing the selections, when a female employee approaches me and offers me the help, I'd already decided on the chair and told her as much when the D-bag appears. To give you the full scope of the situation, I am in silk-looking long pants and a Pennywise t-shirt. The employee is in uniform t-shirt, bright red with company logo on it, and khaki pants. D-bag asks, "You there, I need help picking a gaming computer for my son." Employee kindly responds, "Of course, sir. Let me get this chair rang out, and I'll help you pick one." At this point, he gave us a weird look. "I wasn't talking to you, I was speaking to him." I was a little confused by this and simply said, "I don't work here." Him, apparently only just noticing my outfit, looked at me and said, "Yes, but you probably know more about tech than this little girl does." After I managed to pay an expedition to recover my jaw from the center of the earth, I simply said, "Look, I do know a bit about tech, but it's extremely dumb to assume she doesn't because she's a woman, and I would suggest you apologize." At this point, he went beet red and began yelling at me and calling me every name under the sun. Some of the gems I caught in the middle of the incoherent gibberish were effing B and "I'll F you up if you talk to me like that again, so just do what I ask." Now, I'm still very calm because I've worked in retail for 15 years, so not the first rant I've heard work at a gas station. You'll hear some gems. As I am about to respond, I get a gentle tap on my shoulder. It's the employee. She tells me, "He's not worth it. Let's get you rang out." I agree, and we finish our transaction. As I'm being rang out, I hear some commotion behind me and turn to see the D-bag being escorted out by the police. Apparently, while he was losing it on me, the employee was not idle. She had radioed her manager to let him know what was happening. She got me to walk away to the counter with her so the manager could talk to this guy and eject him from the store for harassment and threats, to which he refused to leave, so the police were called, and he was taken out and banned. It was just so stupid that this entire thing happened because he had to be a D-bag and couldn't show just a little respect to others. Good story, good resolution. Good on you for defending the employee and teaching that pathetic jerk a well-needed lesson. And our last story. Karen broke into my yard, attacked my beehive, and then tried to sue me. A couple years ago, I decided to take up beekeeping. I'd always been fascinated by bees, not just because they're crucial to the environment, but because there's something calming about working with them. It was legal in my state. I did my research, bought the proper hives, and set them up neatly in my yard. Before long, the colonies were thriving. The soft hum of the bees became my morning soundtrack, and honestly, it was the most relaxing hobby I'd ever started. But across the street from me lived Karen. You know the type, arms always crossed, eyes scanning the street for the slightest reason to complain, like she'd been training her whole life for a neighborhood drama Olympics. One sunny afternoon, Karen marched across the street with that determined, I'm about to ruin someone's day look. She didn't bother with small talk. You can't keep bees here, she snapped, jabbing a finger toward the hives. They're dangerous. You're threatening me with danger. I'll sue you if you don't get rid of them. I stayed calm. The hives are 40 feet from your property line. They're registered with the state. They're perfectly legal. Honestly, the bees aren't going near your yard unless you're out there wearing flowers on your head. Karen didn't like that answer. She huffed, muttered something about calling her lawyer, and stomped back across the street like she'd just won a battle. I shrugged it off. I knew I was following the law to the letter, and I figured that was the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. About a month later, I came home from work and immediately noticed something was off. One of my hives looked wrong. The cover had been pried off, frames were broken, bees swirled in an angry frenzy around the hive. I could tell right away this wasn't an accident. Someone had messed with it. Cleaning it up was a nightmare. Bees don't like intruders, and whatever Karen or whoever had done to that hive left them agitated and aggressive. I wore my suit, carefully repaired what I could, calmed the colony with smoke, and reinforced the fencing around my yard. But the whole time I had this sinking feeling in my stomach that this wasn't random vandalism. A few days later, my suspicion was confirmed. I got a letter in the mail. Karen was suing me. Her claim that she had been stung by my bees had ended up in the hospital and that my hives were a dangerous nuisance to the neighborhood. The audacity nearly made me laugh. Just when I was debating how to handle this, my other neighbor, let's call him Mike, knocked on my door. He said, "Hey, I think you'll want to see this." Mike has security cameras all around his property, and one of them happened to catch a perfect view of my backyard. He invited me in and pulled up the footage, and there it was, Karen herself sneaking into my yard with a tool in hand. The camera caught her jabbing at the hive like some kind of deranged burglar. Then, when the bees swarmed, she flailed her arms, stumbled back, and sprinted out of my yard, swatting at her face. I couldn't stop laughing. She hadn't been stung because my bees were some neighborhood menace. She'd been stung because she attacked them. I thanked Mike about 100 times, got a copy of the footage, and called my lawyer. Court was glorious. Karen strutted in like she was about to put me in my place. She played the role of innocent victim perfectly, telling the judge how she was just a homeowner minding her business when my bees viciously attacked her. She dabbed at her eyes for extra effect. Then my lawyer pressed play. The courtroom watched as Karen crept into my yard, pried at the hive, and then got exactly what she asked for. The judge's eyebrows shot up. Karen's lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table and disappear. The judgment was swift. Her lawsuit was tossed out immediately, and instead she was ordered to pay damages for trespassing, destruction of property, and my legal fees. On top of covering the repairs for my hives, she ended up cutting me a check that covered every penny I'd put into my beekeeping hobby and then some. Karen avoided me for weeks after that. I heard from other neighbors that she tried to spin the story her way, claiming I tricked her somehow, but everyone had already heard about the video. I used part of the money from Karen's damages to upgrade my equipment and buy a couple more hives. By the end of the season, I had enough honey to give away jars to family, friends, and neighbors, including Mike, who definitely deserved a lifetime supply. Man, this one had me grinning ear to ear. Karen really thought she could stroll into someone else's yard, vandalize a hive full of bees, and then play the innocent victim card in court? That's just super dumb. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.